It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yeah, the man with the best intro on TV is here. I like the transition from yellow to normal to pink hair. We love having him here. But this is a very important conversation that we're going to get into right now. Fake news stories can have real-life consequences. We've seen this play out in the US. We've seen it play out around the coronavirus. Stopping the proliferation of fake news isn't just the responsibility of the platforms used to spread it. Those who consume the news also need to find ways of determining whether what they're reading is true or not, and that is especially needed during times like these when people's lives literally are at stake. So we're going to chat to Grant Hines on how to spot fact from fiction on the internet. It's
so important. I mean, I don't know how many times you've chatted to family over this time, and it's stuff about vaccines, and it's stuff about the government, and it's stuff about and we need to learn. Like, of course, the information that we're getting is a lot, and we're usually pretty good at like disseminating information, but we need to learn to disseminate stuff. And just because you saw it on Facebook doesn't mean that it is real. And in fact, it's something that you really need to double check. So there are a couple of tools that you should have.
Tools to use in the infodemic, we're going to call it.
Infodemic, yeah, I like that. I like that terminology.
Okay, so what are some of your top tips for spotting fake news?
Read past the headline. A lot of people love to just share an article because that headline has their own confirmation bias in it. So read past that and make sure that you are
What do you mean confirmation bias?
So confirmation bias is that you already hold an opinion, right? And somebody else tells you something that makes your opinion feel more right. So we have a tendency as individuals to believe that instead of assess that information objectively. So it's the difference between objective assessment and subjective assessment.
And on a platform like Facebook, you're going to be sent those stories because you are biased towards that. So they're going to utilize those headlines to get you to take on more content.
And Facebook make money by you spending time, so they put you in circles where people have the same view as you or the same opinion as you, so that you kind of like bolster each other up. And then in the real world, when you get outside and there's somebody next to you that has a different opinion to you, you're like, this person's crazy. Like, how can they not do this? So that's the difference between, that's what confirmation bias really does in the subjects of it. The other one is just pay attention to the domain. You know, so the domain is that like line. My dad doesn't know what a domain is. Sorry, Dad. So the domain is the line at the top, which is http://. It's the address from where the website comes from. Have a look at that, see if it looks legit or not. That's where the information is being sourced from.
Is it a credible news source? Is it a BBC News? Is it a Sky News?
And there are tons.
SABC News, yeah.
And back in the day, like there used to be these websites, and they looked bad, and you could identify them immediately, but they've gotten so good at looking authentic and looking legitimate that it's, you know, it's hard to determine it. So make sure you check out
What's a good sign that it's dodge?
A good sign that it's dodge is that you look at that website and you can search for it. And also, so like, all of these tools are helpful. So make sure you do that. Make sure you find that URL. There are other websites that you can check. There's Snopes.com, which are an independent fact checker. There's factcheck.org as well, which you can then put those websites into and just go like, hey, is this news story legitimate? Is this one where they found like a mummified dinosaur with the skin on, like still real, or Bigfoot? Like those are all conspiracy theories. Look at the credentials. Do reverse image searches as well. So if there are images on the website that claim that the story says something, in Google, you can now not only search the word, you can also search the image. So once you search that image, you can find out, oh, that person's fake.
Yeah.
Or that story is fake. Or it comes from a completely different story.
That's what they do on Catfish, yeah.
That's how you do that. But also, like, you can find that piece of that protest is a different protest.
Yeah.
You know, or for every reason.
Someone's just pieced it together to grab your attention.
Yeah. And then search for other reports on that story and then like match them up and go like, oh, okay. So this person's added a lot of stuff which is, you know, not there on other people's news sources.
Some other ways that we can fight misinformation, because we do play a part, because we're often spreading this misinformation. So we think that we're not complicit because we didn't create the story.
So a lot of people have said, oh, I just shared the article because I thought it was interesting, or I thought the headline was, and I was like, hey, did you read this? Do you know how dangerous it is? Just because, like, the anti-vaxxer movement, and I'm going to get very, like, aggressive here. The anti-vaxxer movement literally can kill people.
Yeah.
You know, and if you aren't assessing what you are sharing, just because you thought it was interesting, people's lives can die because you are inquisitive. or you are, I don't know, the Joker and Batman. It's not, this is real life. The internet breeds over into real life, and we need to take what we do over on the internet seriously.
Oh, you look at the political situation in the US and how that's led to extremism across the globe, literally. Any final tips that you want to leave us with regards to?
Lastly, if you suspect a news source is fake, don't share it, but also report it to those medias.
Who do you report to?
So Twitter and Facebook have tools now that they're integrating to report fake news. Use those tools if you see it. The more of that stuff that's not out there, the better. If it is a true story, often they won't like block it, but it does give you the agency to go like, I suspect this is fake, and just do it. Just double check it every time. Just sharing something. I know it's easy to click the share button, and they want it to be easy
That's why
for you
they've made it engineered.
but it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
Well, here's a tip. Rather than letting your news come to you, why don't you go to a credible source and get the news for yourself? Find a source that you do trust and do that. Well, stay with us because we've got more from our tech and news guru with Grant Hines coming up in just a moment. All very important stuff.